Okay, good morning everybody. We're looking at ergative verbs today. Now, if you have never heard of ergative verbs, don't worry. Most people haven't heard of ergative verbs. Most TEFL students haven't heard of ergative verbs. And I haven't seen much information about them in grammar books, in the Murphy, in the Hewings, for example. I don't think it's in the Murphy at all. It might get mentioned in the Hewings, but he doesn't go into it in detail. Now, if you want more lessons like this, please come to my website and you can buy the whole course for £7. You just need to use the coupon code 7. You need to spell the number 7 in the coupon code and then you'll get it for £7. Or if you prefer the higher price of £10 from Udemy, click under the video and the discount codes will work for another 3 days. They're all about, I think they're all a tenner. One of the courses is £12, but Udemy makes that price. They set that price, so I can't do anything about it. So come to my website if you want the cheapest possible price. Now, ergative verbs, why are they important? Well, let's start with what is an ergative verb. So I'm going to show you destroy first of all, which is not an ergative verb. Let's call it a normal verb, okay? And then we're going to compare destroy with break, which is an ergative verb, like smash. And I hope you will see they are different. So have a look at this normal verb, yeah? I destroyed the boat. Active, yeah? I destroyed the boat. Subject, verb, object. Okay, let's put that sentence into passive. The boat was destroyed. Okay, that's a correct sentence. We can do that. But what we can't do with the verb destroy is put the object at the front and use passive and say the boat destroyed. That is not a correct sentence and it never will be with a normal verb, okay? But there are a number of verbs where this third option is correct and those verbs we call ergative verbs. Let me give you an example. I broke the vase, subject, verb, object, okay? The vase was broken. That's correct, that's in the passive. Now let's try putting the vase at the front and use active. The vase broke. That is also grammatically correct. Even though the boat destroyed or the vase destroyed is not grammatically correct. So normal verbs, you can't do that. Ergative verbs, you can do that. And so why? Well, with these ergative verbs, and they usually show change or destruction, or there are a lot of cooking verbs that are ergative as well, like boil and fry. So with these ergative verbs, if you use them in the passive, the vase was broken, that sounds like there is an agent involved, that somebody broke the vase. Whereas this one, the vase broke, it doesn't sound like there was an agent involved. And quite often there isn't. You know, if there's a strong wind and it blows the vase off the shelf, then you might say the vase broke because nobody broke the vase. Yeah, it just broke. And be aware that children, if they break something, children will often say, the vase broke. It was nothing to do with me. Yeah? If they break something, they usually say this one because they don't want to sound guilty. They don't want to sound responsible. And so they use the last option, which is grammatically correct. Okay, so that's what an ergative verb is. Let me show you it with another one like smash. Yeah, it doesn't work with destroyed, but it does work with smash. I smashed the vase. The vase was smashed. The vase smashed. Yeah, and so these breaking verbs, I cracked the vase. The vase was cracked. The vase cracked. These breaking verbs very often are ergative. Okay, let's look at a few more examples. And I want you to be aware that phrasal verbs like blow up and blow over are also ergative verbs. Here's my proof. I blew over the vase. Yeah, maybe I blew over the vase. Yeah, it's possible. I blew over the vase. The vase was blown over is correct, the passive form, but also the vase blew over. Yeah, maybe it was the wind. And this one, of course, it sounds like the wind blew the vase over. The vase blew over. Yeah, there's no agent in this one. It's exactly the same with blow up something, yeah, which is destroy something with an explosion, yeah, blow up. I blew up the building was blown up, passive, the building blew up. Now, if there's no agent involved, and maybe it's a chemical factory and there's an accident and the building blows up, maybe they've got some very dangerous chemicals, they've got some concentrated sulfuric acid, it hits some pure metal of some description and it creates a huge explosion, so the building blew up. There wasn't a terrorist bomber there or anything, there was no agent, the building blew up. Okay, so you can see that this is important. And I'm going to show you a few more examples so that I hope this information really starts to sink in. Sink is an ergative verb, what a boat does when it's destroyed. But you can say, the enemy sank the boat, with a torpedo. The enemy sank the boat. You can also say, the boat was sunk by a torpedo. The boat was sunk by a torpedo. But let's say there's no agent, there's no enemy. Then we'd say something like this: during a powerful storm, the boat sank, no agent, and not the boat was sunk. Because if you say the boat was sunk, it sounds like somebody sank the boat, an enemy sank the boat or something like that. You wouldn't do it with a powerful storm. You'd say during a powerful storm, the boat sank, just to emphasize there was no agent, just like the vase broke. You say it when you're trying to say that it was nothing to do with you, when there was no agent, nobody was responsible for sinking the boat or for breaking the vase. Okay, so now let's go through 10 really typical mistakes with ergative verbs, because I think this is the best way to really understand what an ergative verb is, and also to understand why you need to know what an ergative verb is. So look at number 1, the weather has been changed. I've done this one before, but I'm going to do it again because it's such a common mistake. And it really is this verb and this verb which are the most commonly misused ergative verbs. So number 1, the weather has been changed. My first question is, by whom? Who changed the weather? Who changed the weather? Because this has an agent. And of course, nobody changed the weather. And that's why we usually say the weather has changed. Now, I must admit, you can use this one, but there must be an agent. So how about this? The weather has been changed by silver iodide crystals. Or the weather has been changed by the spreading, the distribution into the clouds of silver iodide crystals. I'm aware that there are weather modification techniques out there. There are actually a lot of different techniques that scientists and the military do use to control our weather. You might be surprised to learn. But if that's the case, okay, the weather has been changed by weather modification techniques. How about that? And that would work. That has an agent, the weather modification techniques. So it can be a thing, the agent. It doesn't have to be a person. Modification techniques, something like that. Or the weather has been changed by the military. You can certainly say that, you can certainly say that, because then there's an agent. But usually you don't mean that. Usually you just mean it was sunny one moment and raining the next. Nobody changed it, nothing changed it, it's just the weather has changed, usually. Now let's look at number 2, and I want you to remember that you can increase prices. You can increase prices. A company can increase prices, but some prices are not increased or decreased by anybody. Some prices, the price of gold, the price of silver, the price of real estate, the price of Bitcoin, they're not changed by anybody. Nobody increases or decreases the price. These prices fluctuate according to market forces, and that's why we would not say the price of Bitcoin has been increased. We would say the price of Bitcoin has increased, or the price of gold has decreased. Increased or decreased here. If there's no agent, don't use passive, use active. The price of Bitcoin has increased. You can certainly say, our firm has increased prices, and that will be that way round. But let's say prices at our firm have been increased. That works, prices at our company have been increased, because then it's somebody in the marketing department or in some department of your firm who decided to increase prices, and so then you can say prices have been increased.